Souls, I'm Lisa, and we're just going to get right into it. Today's going to be a sequence about opening up the spine and the hips. So you're going to see a little pause here as I switch cameras. And let's go ahead and begin coming into tabletop. So as you come into tabletop, if you're someone who really loves alignment, you can think of it as wrists under the shoulders and knees under the hips, hip width apart. If the wrists are bothering you today, you could absolutely bring in some blocks. You could either put the forearms right down on the mat or on blocks like this. I'm going to go ahead and do it without the blocks. If you have your hands on the mat, forefingers are wide apart, thumb slightly in, wrist crease parallel-ish, top of the mat. And I want you to gently press down into the finger pads, and that should be fairly firm. And then isometrically draw the left palm, right palm towards each other to hug the midline. Now, from here, if you want, you could hug a block between the thighs. And that's a really nice way to begin to activate the quads and the adductors, which are the muscles inside the thighs. It's going to provide more support for your back and just feel like stronger and more grounded all the way around. And why not work the core while we're hanging out here, right? So now from here, just following your breath, take a couple breaths in and out. You're just breathing the breath into your whole body. Keep the back of the neck long. And on your next exhale, go ahead and just gently lift the spine, slowly pressing down into the finger pads. Come into cat pose. And maybe only go about 80% the capacity of the body. And then you're going to inhale, send the belly down towards the earth. You're going to gently lift and spread through the sit bones and kind of lift through your heart and keep the gaze slightly forward and down. So the back of the neck stays nice and long. And this is cow. As you exhale, you're coming into cat, opening up the spine and just creating space in the back of the heart. And as you inhale, belly down and towards the earth as you come into cow pose. And as you move through a couple rounds of these on your own, know that if you're inhaling, when I say exhaling, please stay with your own breath. Don't feel as though you need to follow along with me. This is all about just feeling your body and kind of checking in and seeing how everything feels today. Sometimes it's not until I move through a cat-cow sequence, which is what this is, that I actually notice where I'm sore, where I'm feeling a little tender. And that's just like extra wisdom that you can bring with you throughout the day. Now we're going to go ahead and move off the midline, and you could keep the block here. Notice as I move around off the midline, I can keep hugging the block, or you could remove the block. And if you choose to do that, it's going to give you a little bit more range of motion, but just make sure that you're keeping the core engaged. It's hugging the core of the belly inward and upward. You're pressing down into the finger pads. You're isometrically drawing left palm, right palm towards each other. And all these alignments are just options, and you're just moving off the midline, moving into more of like a spiral line. Some people like to go side to side. That totally works. That's a great opening and lengthening kind of for the top of that hip and the glute. You could do figure eights. There's so many different ways that you could move through these little like movements of the spine. And what I love about this opening sequence here is it moves through 6 movements of the spine. So we're kind of just moving around here. Go about 2 or 3 more breaths and just keep bringing your awareness back to your breath. Remember that your yoga practice is just as much about breathing as it is about any of the movements that we're going to make, any of the shapes that we're going to make, any of the poses. We're going to go with more breaths, a couple more, just as you're kind of checking in. And as we move, we want to just be moving through a lens of no sharp pain, no fizzing of the joints, no impinging of the body, back out of anything that doesn't feel right. And you're breathing in and out. And we're going to go ahead and just come right back to center. And please shift through cat and cow a couple times. You kind of think of this as a little spinal flossing. Don't go to your deepest edges, just, moving through and kind of seeing how everything feels. Just the tiniest of movements are going to be great. So you shift between cat, cow, just breathe easy. Now I want you to come between cat and cow and find middle. So cat, cow, and find middle. Notice on me, cat, cow, and find middle. So middle is neutral. You're going to have a slight lumbar curve here. And from here, you're going to inhale and extend your right leg back. And as you extend your right leg back, try not to do the shifting to the left that we kind of tend to do. Try and keep everything nice and hugging in. And now we're just going to press through that right heel. And I'm literally just pressing that right heel away from me. Keep the core engaged, and you're just breathing and noticing how everything feels. Relax your neck, Relax the eyes. You're breathing in and out. Now, some of us, moving forward and back along this line is going to feel really good. For some of us, it's going to just start to kind of like little baby rocks left and right. I like to roll all the way around the balls of the feet. And if you look at my both feet, I really, as I move through each turn here, I go a little bit more, not all the way to the depth. Think like really 50 to 80% of the way, depending on how your body feels. This is a great articulation for the ankle. We just don't give our ankles and feet enough love. When that feels pretty good, I want you to pause and come back into the center and just bring your mind 2 inches below the belly button. And again, you're hugging the core inward and upward, right? Up the body, and inhale, lift the right leg up. As you exhale, bend your right knee and see about stepping that right foot outside the right hand. If you need to bring in blocks to do that, if you need to do that in multiple steps, for some people, some of my clients, as we lift up and as you bring the foot around, you might have to shift and bring in blocks and then lift and then bring everything forward. You're gonna do what feels right in your body. So now from here, let's take and bring attention to the right foot. Lift the toes for just a moment to activate the arch of the foot. You're gonna feel that core line activate. And you could always release the toes. You'll see from me, my toes are always lifted. It feels good in my body. My feet are flat, so it feels nice. Now, back foot, that left foot, you could have the top of that back foot on the mat. And if you do, I want you to press down through the top of that left foot. If you have it tucked, just imagine kind of energy moving from the bottom of the foot all the way to the back wall. Now lengthen your spine out of the pelvis. I'm on blocks because this feels good for my body. Certainly, I have clients that like their hands on the floor on the mat. That feels good too. I like blocks because I like the spaciousness through my chest, and I have a tighter upper body. Now, what I'd want you to kind of notice is at the low base of the spine, I'd like you to have that neutrality. So you're going to have a slight lumbar curve, not too much, but just slight, and then opening the chest, and then we're going to do the hip circles. So at this point, you're just breathing. You're just breathing in, drawing the breath down into like the belly, the low back. You could even imagine you're breathing the breath into the whole of the body. And as you exhale, just letting the breaths get longer and longer. And notice how I'm just moving through hip circles. You could rotate that right foot out anywhere towards 45 degrees, but really make sure that feels okay for your anatomy, right? And then after 5 rounds, you're just going to switch and go the opposite direction. No sharp pain, no fizzing of the joint, no impinging. We're moving through what we call ahimsa in the practice of yoga, and loosely think of that as like non-harming, right? So it's easy to start that in the physical body. No sharp pain, no fizzing of the joints, no impinging. Depending on your anatomy, you might even feel like some hamstring like opening here underneath the right thigh. You might feel inside the thighs, the low back, your heart, your chest. Just trust the experience. And then you're going to come back to center. You're going to breathe in. And then as you exhale, keep that core engagement 2 inches below the belly button and see if you can release that right knee using the core of your belly. And then I like to shift side to side. Now I'm going to demo that entire sequence on my forearms just so you can see it on my blocks. And I'm going to set my blocks at level 1 here. This is level 1, this is level 2, this is level 3. I have the skinnier blocks, so it's just more stable to have them at level 1. I'm going to bring my forearms down. And let's do that entire sequence on the other side. So here we are, knees under the hips, shift between cat-cow and fine middle, cat-cow and fine middle. So you're back in neutral, right? Slight lumbar curve. And try to resist leaning your hip over to the left as you extend that left leg back. So it's actually harder than you think it is. There's more core required. And then tuck that left toe, broaden your upper back. So you can see you have a big hollow back body. And then just press that left heel away from you. Give yourself a nice long length behind that calf, left heel to the bottom of the foot. And you're breathing in And breathing out, and you might decide, again, maybe you rock forward and back. Maybe you want to rock side to side. Maybe you want to roll all the way around the balls of the feet in a way that feels good. It'll give you a nice opening, lengthening, and just awareness of other parts of the body that are supporting your hips. So breathing in, just stay nice and easy, and breathing out. We're going to go ahead and come back to center. 2 inches below the belly button, keep the back of the neck long. Inhale, lift the left leg. Core engaged. Exhale, bend that left knee. Step the left foot outside, that left hand, however you need to get there. Remember, everyone has their own journey, right? So whatever the journey is to getting that left leg out to the side of that left hand, just give yourself grace, whatever that path might look like today. Lift the toes of that left foot, lengthen the spine out of the pelvis, open the chest. That's what feels good for me. And then we're going to move around 5 circles in each direction. You could rotate that left foot out a little bit if that felt good for your body today. And then notice how we're really just playing with being in this moment, right? Not what your body could do yesterday, not what you want it to do, but as you're breathing and moving through these movements, like how is the body showing up today? And then how do you want to respond to that? And you're breathing in, breath into the whole body. You might switch and go the opposite direction, and you're breathing out. And just no sharp pain, no fizzing of the joints, no impinging. I definitely would go less, right? We want to kind of get in that energy of less is more, right? You have the other 23 hours of the day plus to go fast. Let's spend some time being different, right? Changing some neurology a little bit, bringing in some peace and relaxation, and just believing in our wholeness, right? Coming back to that space, we're remembering. So you're going to come back to center. You're going to breathe in 2 inches below the belly button. You're kind of engaging the core there. As you exhale, release that left knee, shift side to side. And then when you're ready, I would go ahead as you shift side to side, take a few breaths there. And then let's come into child's pose to complete our practice today. So you could have big toes together, knees apart. You could have your knees in, arms over the head. You could release the head to the floor, to the back of your hands, or even to a block, a blanket, or a pillow. Some of us, it's going to feel good to come into puppy pose. And puppy pose, just in my anatomy, it's a nice release for the back. I've got my hips up kind of over the knees-ish. And as we move through the practice of yoga, we're moving through the lens of ishness, right? Any alignments, they're just a place to begin, right? Give it a try and see how it feels. Now I'm going to roll a blanket and I'm going to place it between the front of my ankles and the floor. This is just an option, especially if you're tight in the feet, the ankles, and just the lower part of the body. And another option would be to place a blanket underneath the knees. Okay, so I'd like you to take a good 7 to 10 more breaths here as you relax. You could have the arms alongside the legs for more release of the chest if you'd like. And then just breathing in the space. No sharp pain, no fizzing of the joints, no impinging. And as you continue to release, just letting everything relax in the space. The breath flows in. And the breath flows out. You breathe in, and the breath flows in and down into the hips. Maybe you can breathe the breath down into your feet. And then just exhale. A few more breaths as you let everything relax in the space. You can take child's pose in a way where you just let every muscle relax and unwind. If that feels good for your body, you could always hug a bolster between your thighs. Do what feels good and right in your body, really getting back into your body and noticing, right? How does my body feel today? What does my body want? When you're ready to come out, you'll go ahead and draw the core of the belly in and you'll rise up. Maybe come to all fours Maybe elevate the hips as you come back into a seat. I'm going to close out our practice together by bringing my hands to my heart. So if you'd like to join me, just bring your hand to your heart. Bring your fingertips to your forehead. And just think of one thing that you'd like to dedicate your day to today. And when you're ready, draw your hands back in front of your heart. Om, om, om. Thank you so much.